So our $2 word for Scrabble or Words with Friends is perambulation. Perambulation means walking around, and in traditional English law, it's used specifically to mean determining the bounds of a legal area by walking around it. It has historically been used by the church on Ascension Day, when the perambulation or the beating of the bounds served as an annual verification of parish boundaries. Now, here across the pond, the tradition has also been kept by some Episcopal parishes and by town boards of selectmen here in New England, especially in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the state of New Hampshire, where the law is still on the books in some places. I was tempted to have you get up and switch sides of the church this morning, our own kind of perambulation or walking around. But we won't be doing that today. We won't be walking around the parish or Wolfboro this morning. But in a sense, annual meeting day is, in a way, the walking around of what we as God's people, serving as the body of Christ in this time and place, it's what we're doing. It is good to assess the who, what, where, and when our offerings and boundaries have been stretched over the past year. Our beating the bounds in this corner of God's kingdom is a way of strengthening this faith community, giving us a sense of purpose in this place. Now, we New Englanders, like the Nazarenes in Jesus' home synagogue, find great comfort in our defined roles, in our responsibilities, and in our real estate. We have a tendency to typically run rebellious radicals out of town. And if that rooster in the barnyard gets too aggressive or one of those cows keeps wandering off here in New England, we tend to take care of them too, sometimes as Sunday supper. And so we build and we maintain walls of expectation and separation, trying to keep those radicals in line. And those walls are made often of the most prolific crop in this state, stones that pop up in our yards, in our fields, and in our roads. In the church, we build and we maintain walls of status quo through barriers and boundaries of expectation and separation, built upon discrimination and denominationalism. We have a tendency to welcome people just like us. We have a tendency to maintain faith traditions and connections that wall us in and keep us from seeing the needs of others, keep us from seeing even the very presence of Christ, who hangs out more and more, we are told over and over again, beyond our weekly worship and the ministries named and bound in our own annual report. Thankfully, the boundaries of All Saints do reach well beyond Wolfboro and the stony landscape here in New Hampshire. And that is exactly where Jesus is calling you and me to meet him and to meet the other children of God beyond the boundaries of this parish. In places like this very campus that we are blessed with, where 6 times the number of people who worship on Sunday mornings find and connect with community each week. In virtual places like social media, where more than 3 times the number of people who worship on Sunday mornings connect with us, All Saints Parish, and with Jesus online each week. In places like El Salvador, where through our mission partner Cristasol, we work to strengthen the ability of the poor to act for justice and development as equal citizens in a democratic society. In places where this coming year our missions team will seek and support the breaking in of God's kingdom in many other places unknown to us even this morning beyond the walls of this parish. And in places like Concord and Washington, where we can advocate for the care of creation beyond the walls of saving money with solar panels, to see our call as being stewards of creation and the children of God who are the most vulnerable in our society, who cannot, because of whatever social, societal ism that walls them in, be heard or speak for themselves. On this coldish January day, when frost heaves may start happening sooner rather than later this spring, I'm called to Robert Frost's poem, Mending Walls, because it speaks, as scholar David Lose pointed out to me this week, beyond its most famous line, "Good walls make good neighbors." Frost's poem was written, and Jesus' own encounter in his hometown challenged that assertion. In the poem, two farmers are out for their spring ritual of replacing the stones that have fallen from the wall separating their two properties. One, the voice of the poet, keeps wondering why they need walls at all. He says, "My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines," I tell him. To which the neighbor responds with a signature line that good walls make good neighbors. But the poet isn't convinced. And he says, "I wonder if I could put a nation in his head. Why do they make a notion in his head? Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows." It seems that Frost and Jesus in the Gospel of Luke name the truth about walls, about our mending and building and taking them down, about our walls of safety and security that abound and that border and frame our days. Frost writes, "Before I built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall that wants it down." It is Jesus' dislike of walls that gets him in trouble during that first sermon in Nazareth. It is Jesus' dislike of walls that eventually gets him bound to the cross. After he reads about Isaiah promising release and redemption and healing for all those who have been cast off or walled off by the world, the people of Nazareth are initially proud of their hometown boy here and the proclamation that he makes from that great prophet. But Jesus goes beyond the familiar boundaries. He goes beyond their comfort zones and he tells them, "When I talk about God coming in to free the oppressed and to bless the poor, I'm talking about God blessing the people that you cannot stand, the people you don't want to be near, the people who are unlike you and me, the people you think are your enemies." Jesus reminds them of a couple of stories where God blessed not Israel, not the people sitting in the pews, but the church's enemies, Israel's enemies. And then they're mad. So mad that they are ready to get rid of this so-called prophet, Jesus. Jesus' home congregation seems to agree with Frost farmer number 2 and the phrase, "Good walls make good neighbors." Walls, after all, keep you safe, mark off important boundaries, and keep less than desirable things at bay, whether wolves from sheep, a hostile neighbor from your home, or fear-inducing refugees from your homeland. But Jesus disagrees. Because when we live into our identity as God's beloved children, there is no room or no need for walls of any kind. No need to keep enemies out, because Jesus tells us that there are no more enemies. Beloveds, the glory of God knows no bounds and is often revealed beyond the walls that we create, when and where we least look for or expect it. And beloveds, God uses our own lips and our lives to declare the glory of God, inexperienced and hesitant as we may be. But God uses our love and our lives to demonstrate the glory and the wall-tearing down ability of our God. God uses Jesus of Nazareth. God uses water and bread and wine. God uses God's word from the prophets to the mouth of Jesus the Christ. God uses you and me to reveal God's glory, and where and when God chooses, puts us beyond our walls. Encourage us to look beyond our comfort zones, beyond the boundaries of our head and our heart, beyond All Saints Church, and to bring that good news of God's glory to those people and those places we least expect.